Have you ever played a new song that has chords that you don't know how to play yet, or you don't have a chord sheet? Don't panic. I'm going to show you a secret formula how you can figure out how to play every single major and minor chord without a chord chart. So go grab your uke, tune it up, because I think we're going to uke. Hey guys, thanks for joining me at I Think I'm Gonna Uke. My name's Tony, and in this lesson, I'm going to show you an easy way to figure out how to play every single major and minor chord, even if you've never learned that chord before. To me, one of the most amazing phenomena about music is that it's not random. Like, music's very mathematical, and it's full of patterns. So there's patterns or formulas you can use to figure out every major and minor chord. So you'll never have to depend on a chord chart ever again. So let's get into it. First off, we need to learn what makes a chord, as in, like, what is a chord? Well, a chord's 3 notes all played together. There are sometimes more than 3 notes, but for major and minor chords, there's just 3 notes. So one of the things that makes the ukulele so special is that it has 4 strings, and we happen to have 4 fingers. So the easiest chord to play is all open strings like this. It just happens to be a C6 or an A minor 7. But then also the most complex chord on the ukulele still just takes 4 strings. Maybe something like this. So you shouldn't feel intimidated by new or complex chords, even with diminished or augmented chords, or sometimes you have a flat 5 or an add 9, because at most, you'll still just use 4 strings. Well, you probably know the musical alphabet of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and every chord consists of a main note, which is called the root note, plus 2 more notes. So let's take the C major chord, for example. C would be the root note of that chord. And a major chord consists of the root note plus the 3rd and the 5th note in that scale. So for a C major, we'll start with a C, which is our first note. Then a D would be a 2nd. E would be the 3rd note. So F would be our 4th, and G is the 5th note. So to make a C major chord, we need to play our C, E, and G notes. So when you play a C major chord on the ukulele, it's like this. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, you're just holding down 1 note. You're just playing 1 note. But let's look at our open strings and see what we're playing. We have a G, we have a C, and we have an E. Now on our A string, we can't play an A because that's not part of the chord. So we play our next note, which is a C. There's our C major chord. Hopefully a little light bulb just went off. But if not, I'm going to show you another example. Now let's take G major, for example. Let's pretend we don't know how to play G major, but we're going to figure it out using this 1-3-5 formula. So to play a G major, we obviously need a G. So let's start counting from G, which is our first note. Now remember, the musical alphabet, it keeps repeating. So from G, it starts back to A, which is our 2nd note. B is our 3rd note. C is our 4th, and D is our 5th note. So using the 1-3-5 formula, we have G, B, and D. So if we play a G major, notice we have all those notes. We have a G, we have a D note, another G note, and our B note. So you might have noticed that we have 2 G's in our G major, and we have 2 C's in our C major. On the ukulele, in all major and minor chords, you'll have at least 1 repeating note. And that extra repeating, droning note is really part of what gives the ukulele its special, unique sound. Okay, now let's tackle that dreaded E major chord. Now we know we're going to need an E note, and we're going to need the 3rd and the 5th. So if we start counting from E, F, G, A, B. So that'll be an E, a G, and a B. But of course, it can't be that easy, right? You do have to keep in mind that not every note is available in every scale. So in the C scale, we do have an E and a G available, and in the G scale, we do have a B and a D note. But in the E scale, we don't have a natural G note that's part of that scale. So we can always double check by using our secret phone number of 221-2221, which I covered in a previous lesson, which you probably want to watch that after this one. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. So let's go down the E string using that phone number, and we'll find out all the notes that are in our E scale. So we have E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. So our 3rd note is a G sharp, then the A, and then our 5th note is a B. So the E major consists of an E, G sharp, and B. So this is how we end up with that tough E major shape like this, where we really have to stretch our fingers. But keep in mind, as long as we're playing an E, G sharp, and a B note, that's an E major. So we can find easier places to play that E major, like down here, where we have a B, E, G sharp, and another E. Now let's figure out how to play every minor chord. Now remember, the secret formula for major chords is 1, 3, 5. Now for minor chords, there's an altered formula based on that 1, 3, 5 formula, where we lower the third note by 1 fret, or 1 semitone. So you could think of the minor chord formula as a 1, 3 lowered, and a 5. Or better yet, think of it as 1, flat 3, 5. Let's use this minor chord formula to figure out a less common minor chord like F minor. So first let's figure out the 1, 3, 5 for the F scale. So we'll have F, A, and C. Now we lower down that third note from A. We lower it down 1 fret to A flat. So now let's find an F, A flat, and C on our ukulele. Now we can't have a G because that's not part of the chord, but we have an A, but we're going to lower it to A flat. Now we can have an open C, but we need an F. That's our F note. And we can't have a regular A, but we also don't have space to flatten it for an A flat. So we're going to play the next note of C. So we have this, F minor. Let's try a more famous minor chord like B minor to see if we can still figure it out using the same formula. So first we'll use the 1, 3, 5 of B, which is going to be B, D, and F. But then we need to test it on the B scale using our phone number of 221, 2221. So we'll start on a B note here on the A string. So we're going to skip 221, 2221. So we have B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp. So B is our 1, D sharp is our 3, E and F sharp is our 5. So for B major, we have a B, D sharp, and F sharp. Now let's flatten that third note from a D sharp down to a D for our minor. So B minor would be B, D, F sharp. Now let's find these notes on the neck here. So we have a B, here's a D, here's an F sharp, and another B. So we play our B minor like this. Now some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, I thought you could play a B minor like this. Sorry, that's not a B minor. This chord is actually a B major 7. We just learned this is a B minor, and we figured out a way how you can always know what the minor chord is. But now that you know, you can go impart some musical knowledge to your ukulele friends and tell them, hey, play B minor like this. I think this is really amazing because you start to realize that music is not random, that music is very mathematical. There's patterns to all of it. So just using this 1, 3, 5 formula, you don't ever need a chord chart again. You can now figure out how to play every single major chord and every minor chord. So remember, the minor chords are just like the major chords, except you lower or flatten that third note by 1 fret. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you did, do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If this lesson helped you, or maybe you learned something, or maybe you have a question, just let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out my other videos. I'll leave all my social media links in the description box. And if you'd like to support the channel, there's ways you can help out and do that. I'll leave those links in the description box as well. Well, until next time, have fun playing, God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one.